if you currently run 12-week packages, or you might have a 90-day offer where you promise a return within that short time period, you might be experiencing a high volume of drop-offs after that time is up. And what I want to do is I want to show you what I did with one of my clients and how I took their income from earning just shy of £2,000 per month, stuck constantly trying to resell their client base, to consistently earning at least £12,000 per month with monthly rolling contracts. And I want to walk you through the 4 steps we took in order to do this. Now, step number 1, very, very simple. We just looked at the pricing structure. Here is where we completely abolished 12-week packages, and we stretched a 12-week package into an initial 6-month commit and save offer. But we offered that. We also offered monthly rolling, but we wouldn't announce that straight away. And why I like 6 months instead of 12 weeks is because if people are committed to 6 months, they have a lot more time to get a better result, but understand how the process works. And a lot of this is just people understanding the process in the industry. Because when you lay out the expectation for 12 weeks, you attract the people who want to jump on, go for a diet, think that's all done, happy as Larry, go off, fuck off and get a holiday, and then come back and put all the weight back on. And it's not only exhausting for a coach, but also it's ineffective for the client. So offering an incentive, a commit and save, where you offer some discount when they commit for the 6 months, is a great way to get people fully committed behind your service, behind the process, and then get really bitten by the bug of fitness and into the results. But the good news for you is you don't have to expect them to pay everything up front. You can use payment systems like Klarna, which integrate with Stripe, and that way they can split the payment interest free. So they can pay in lump sum, so it's not a huge layout for them, but you get the cash up front, plus you get the commitment. So having a commit and save offer, offering monthly rolling for those who can't commit to that process, but having a minimum commitment period. And here is where I would just honestly avoid 12 weeks. You could do 8 weeks, you could do 16 weeks, just avoid 12. It has a huge junction for people to kind of exit your service. And if you want to be really savvy, this is technically not a step we did, but this is where you can look at how you do the phase programming. And if you do it with an odd number of weeks, technically they never finish a phase where it finishes a payment cycle, if that makes sense. So payment cycles every 4 weeks or every month. And if you have that odd number of weeks in a phase, there's that arithmetic where it never lines up. You know, you never get someone ending a phase and then the month ending. So if you want to go that far, you can go that far. But the second thing we did was looking at road mapping. So road mapping is what, on the first 7 days, when you look at the onboarding process and when the plan is live, it's giving an expectation of where they're going to end up with. And you can break this down many different ways, but it's simply showing the horizon, showing different phases for that client of what's coming up based off a pretty standard framework that you have, but adapting it to the client's goal. Even showing maybe a client who's gone through the footsteps that this client wants to go through, show their body throughout the 6-month process of how it changed and what the rate of fat loss looks like, or what the rate of the bulk looks like. Give people something to look forward to. And then if you do that from the off, again, it sets the expectation and you can constantly refer to it in check-ins. And an extra tip is making sure you have the next goal lined up. So what I personally think is a good idea is if you have a 6-month goal in your head for that client, then you have a 2-year goal as well. Because that way, not only are you kind of there with initial expectation for the 6 months, which will probably be more accurate and a bit more better placed than the goal that the client has. So you show them what's coming up. And then in the back of your mind, which we're going to go on to step number 3, but having a 2-year goal, which really wows them and creates that bigger scope and that bigger goal to reach for. It's always good to have that lined up and keep that client looking on the horizon. And that leads us on, as I said, to point number 3, which was implementing progress reports. And again, what you want to do here is you want to do this at least at week 10 rather than week 12. Because if you do it a little bit before halfway, you show and recap exactly how far they've come. You show the contrast between their first check-in photo and the current check-in photo, because being so close to the process, they won't recognize the change. And here's where you can really create impact and just show just how far they've come, because a lot of people probably give up because they just don't notice progress. And if they don't notice progress, they don't feel very good. They don't feel like they're good at something. They don't enjoy it because they're not good at something. And then they start to question, why am I paying for something that I'm not getting progress from, that I don't enjoy, that I'm not good at? And all of it comes down to the belief of, is someone making progress? So seeing is believing here. And this is where you really want to show people the result in as big a contrast as you ethically can. So that first part of that progress report is all about reestablishing the belief that they made progress and increasing their perception of value in you, the service, so they can think, right, this is great. I have actually come far. This is worth paying for. I want to continue. So that's a big point. If you don't have that commit and save offer in place and they're on the monthly rolling, that's obviously a lot more important that you nail that step. And then once you've obviously shown that contrast and they're feeling hyped, that's when you move on to recap on that roadmap, just bring that back up and then show them where they are, how far they've come, and then what's lined up. Bonus tip, if you want to then ask for feedback on how you can improve the service, that's a really good opportunity. Once they've got that feedback on board, you say, I really appreciate that, incorporate that, then you can ask for a referral, because if you make the service as good as it can be and they're enjoying it, it's a good time to ask who do they know, so their network through their trusted sources. So good point to kind of combine everything in that point in time. And then the fourth and final step was a bit of a broad scope, but this is just generally improving your client communication skills, being able to handle loads of different scenarios, from when a client ghosts you, when a client is not adhering to the process, when they say they're adhering but they're not getting a result, when you believe they're adhering and they're not getting a result, how to bring it up, and then how to rein someone back in. All these sorts of things which is necessary to prevent problems from manifesting and escalating to the point where communication breaks down and then the payment bounces. So client management was a huge thing, and what you'll learn is creating a plan and then getting someone to do said plan are two very different things indeed. This is where improving the people skills and really understanding how to get to action out of someone, how to get someone to open up, how to build rapport, build that relationship, and then get their buy-in and really understand exactly, pinpoint what is going on in this client's life and why might not be actioning. What are they feeling? How are they feeling? And just being in their corner a little bit more, but also calling them out on their bullshit when their old self is trying to hold them down like crabs in a bucket, and that it's keeping them away from the person that they want to be with those good and new healthy habits. And that was a daily thing that we worked on together to improve my client's ability to communicate with his clients, and it made a huge difference, because when you call people out for the right reasons, you take that responsibility, you obviously build so much more trust, and then you actually ironically drive more opportunities for referrals, and you get someone coming really back into line, re-energized, re-motivated, and it just shows that you care, that you took that step to kind of put yourself out there and call them back into line. So I hope that helps. There's the 4 stages we took, and we actually got to over £16,000, and it's still climbing. So the goal was to get to 10. We're well over 16 now. We will get to 20 at some point, and this is all a combination of breaking through that 3-month mentality, communicating on content, and setting up the service structure, improving our skills, it all wrapped in together to turn this constant cycle of churn every quarter into a really steady stream of clients coming through, which actually accumulated month to month to month. And his business now is so much stronger and more stable, where we used to kind of rely on 6 to 12 people coming through on a 12-week package, and then that would crumble, and then you'd have to resell another 12. Now we're climbing systematically. We're north of 80 clients. We're going to get to 90, and then there's going to be 100. By following this approach and some good systems in place. I hope that helps you. Everything I mentioned here, I cover in a lot more detail in the membership area. It's 49 quid to join. Honestly, it's a third of the price for the average client you got.